You might think all rice is harmless, a simple part of your daily meals, but recent research shows that some rice choices could quietly affect your metabolism, blood sugar, and even how your brain ages over time. I'm not talking about eliminating rice entirely, far from it, but knowing which types fuel your body and which could silently undermine your long-term health. Have you ever noticed feeling sluggish or struggling with steady energy after meals? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. And what comes next might change the way you think about the rice on your plate. Stay with me, this is where things get interesting. What if one of the most common foods on your plate, something you've eaten your entire life, is affecting your energy, your metabolism, and even the way your body ages, without you realizing it? For years, most health conversations focused on how many carbohydrates we eat. But more recent research is starting to look at something different: the quality of those carbohydrates, how they're prepared, and how they interact with the body over time. And for many people, especially as the years go by, those small everyday choices can make a bigger difference than they ever expected. If you've ever wondered why some meals leave you feeling satisfied and steady, while others make you feel tired, hungry again too soon, or just not quite right, you're not imagining it. A lot of it comes down to the type of carbohydrates we rely on every day. And one of the biggest examples is rice, a staple in homes all over the world, often seen as simple, safe, and familiar. But not all rice behaves the same way in the body, and not all carbohydrate foods support long-term health in the same way. Researchers studying aging and metabolism have been paying closer attention to the idea that the source of carbohydrates may matter just as much as the amount. Whole grains, less processed foods, and certain cooking methods appear to support more stable energy levels and healthier metabolic patterns, while highly refined options can sometimes lead to quicker spikes in blood sugar, followed by sharper drops afterward. That doesn't mean anyone has to fear food, and it doesn't mean you have to give up the meals you enjoy, but it does mean understanding how everyday habits add up over time. One of the biggest misunderstandings people still have is thinking all carbs are basically the same. White rice, brown rice, instant rice, and traditional grains, they all look similar on the plate, so it's easy to assume they affect the body the same way. But studies looking at digestion and metabolic response suggest that the level of processing can change how quickly the body absorbs those carbohydrates and how the body reacts afterward. Foods that are more refined tend to break down faster, which may lead to a quicker rise in blood sugar, followed by a drop that leaves you feeling low on energy. Over time, that pattern can make it harder for the body to keep everything balanced, especially as we get older and the body becomes less efficient at handling sudden changes. This is one reason nutrition researchers are talking more about carbohydrate quality instead of simply telling people to eat less. Whole grains, foods that still contain their natural fiber, and meals that combine carbohydrates with protein or healthy fats often create a slower, steadier release of energy. That steady release can help people feel full longer, maintain more consistent focus, and avoid the cycle of spikes and crashes that so many people experience without knowing why. It's not about strict rules, it's about understanding how the body responds so you can make choices that support your routine. Even foods that many people think of as healthy, like certain types of white rice, are now being looked at in a more detailed way. Researchers have found that the way rice is processed, soaked, or cooked can change how quickly it affects blood sugar. Techniques like parboiling, soaking, or combining rice with other foods may help slow digestion compared to highly refined instant varieties. That means the conversation isn't simply about labeling foods as good or bad, it's about looking at the details, the preparation, and the overall pattern of what we eat. For people who grew up eating rice every day, this can actually feel reassuring because it shows that small adjustments may matter more than complete restriction. Another topic getting a lot of attention right now is fiber. Many people only think about fiber when it comes to digestion, but it plays a much bigger role in overall health. Diets higher in fiber are often linked with more stable blood sugar, healthier cholesterol levels, and better gut balance. Whole grains naturally contain more fiber than refined grains, and that extra fiber slows digestion in a way that helps the body stay steady. Many experts now say that increasing fiber gradually, through foods that feel natural to your routine, may be one of the simplest ways to support long-term wellness without complicated diet plans. There's also growing interest in overall eating patterns instead of focusing on one single food. You may have heard about balanced dietary styles that include whole grains, vegetables, healthy fats, and a variety of natural foods. These patterns aren't about strict rules, they're about consistency over time. Studies that follow people for many years often show that those who rely more on whole foods and fewer ultra-processed ones tend to maintain better metabolic health and steadier energy as they age. That doesn't mean food alone controls everything, but it does suggest that daily habits can quietly support the body in ways we don't always notice right away. What makes this especially important is that the body changes with age. The same meal that felt fine 20 years ago might affect energy, digestion, or appetite differently today. That's completely normal, but many people don't realize why it happens. Paying attention to how foods are prepared, how often refined grains appear in the diet, and how meals are balanced with fiber, protein, and healthy fats can help create a steadier rhythm for the body. And often, those changes don't have to be extreme. Sometimes it's as simple as choosing less processed options more often, or pairing foods in a way that slows digestion naturally. Cooking methods can also make a difference. Soaking grains before cooking, allowing rice to cool before reheating, or combining rice with beans, vegetables, or lentils may change how quickly the body absorbs the carbohydrates. These kinds of small habits have been part of traditional cooking in many cultures for generations, long before people talked about glycemic response or metabolic health. Today, research is starting to explain why those traditions may have helped people maintain steady energy and better balance over time. It's a reminder that health isn't only about new discoveries. Sometimes it's about understanding the value of simple practices that have always been there. For people who want easy alternatives, there are also more choices available now than ever before. Whole grains like oats, barley, brown rice, wild rice blends, and other less processed options can provide more fiber and a slower release of energy compared to highly refined grains. Some people prefer mixing grains together, while others add beans or vegetables to make meals more balanced. These changes don't have to happen all at once. Even replacing a few meals each week with less processed options can make a difference in how steady you feel throughout the day. The important thing to remember is that food should not feel like something to be afraid of. The goal isn't to worry about every bite, and it isn't to follow strict rules perfectly. The goal is to understand that the body responds to patterns over time. When most of your choices support steady energy, balanced digestion, and consistent nutrition, the body often feels more stable. And when you notice that difference, it becomes easier to keep those habits without feeling like you're forcing yourself to change everything at once. Many viewers say they feel confused by all the mixed messages about carbs, grains, and what counts as healthy now compared to years ago. If you've ever felt that way, you're not alone. Nutrition advice changes as research grows, but some basic ideas stay the same: less processing, more natural foods, balanced meals, and paying attention to how your own body responds. If this made you think about your own eating habits, or you've noticed certain foods affect your energy differently, share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience might help someone else understand their own routine better. And if you found this helpful, you can support the channel by liking the video or sharing it with someone who's also trying to take better care of their health. Because in the next part, we're going to look even closer at everyday foods people assume are completely harmless and why the way they're prepared might matter more than anyone ever expected. And that's where things start to get really interesting.